Hello everyone, welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thanks for coming to the channel. We're at the 12-gallon long bookshelf aquarium in my fish room, and I wanted to talk specifically about one of my all-time favorite fish and probably my all-time favorite nano fish or super small fish, and that's the clown or rocket killifish. We're looking at a male here. Now this is my hero male, and as you can see, he has a bit of a hunchback. I'm afraid that condition is in his DNA. It's not a deformity based on any aquarium conditions. He just happens to have that hump on his back, and I don't know if it's good or bad, but he's also the most strikingly colored male I have in this tank by far. So I also think he's the dominant male despite his deformity, if you will. I guess that's what it is, a deformity. But if we can just overlook that for a minute, because other than that, he's super duper healthy and fine. You can see him being a bit of a tank boss. That's a female right there. The plump belly, the less conspicuous rocket colored tail, that's the easiest tell for a male. And I beg your pardon about the reflection. I tried all kinds of different lighting arrangements, but this tank just happens to be at my head level, and because of the way things are in the fish room and the way this tank is set up, it's really hard to get a reflection-free video, but that won't stop me from trying, because I do want to talk about this tank at least once a month, and the rocket killifish is the reason why I'm talking to you about it now. Now here's a margaritas, if that's right, pencilfish, or the wild pencilfish. What a gorgeous animal. And I've said this a bunch of times on my channel, a very economical surrogate for the red Bexford pencilfish, which in my view does not hold a candle to this stunner. Really, one of the only few nano fish that does, honestly, is the rocket killifish. How's that for a segue? So now we're looking at a lovely adult female. For all I know, this is the favored partner of the male, and they will, given the right conditions, and I do believe this tank is manifest when it comes to ideal conditions for the rocket, aka clown killifish. The heavy plants, the low flow, the no predating other fish of any consequence, and that, you know, those are the conditions. There are other factors, but a clown killifish or the rocket killie is such a stunner. I mean, is there any other animal? I'll make this real easy to answer, because the answer will be no. For a 1-inch fish, there's absolutely nothing in this hobby as super stunning and ridiculously flamboyant as the clown killifish. I mean, that blazing rocket tail, it's like something a child would draw. And then the incongruent stripes going the other direction, and then the blue eye. It's crazy how Mother Nature gave this fish a wardrobe like that. It's just obscene, actually, and that's all to the betterment of nano fish keepers, because, you know, honestly, the Ember Tetra, Neon Tetras. Now, Neon Tetras are 100 years of stunning aquarium hobby love. And they were, you know, back in the day, they were like the clown killifish now, super coveted, rare, and expensive. Now, the rocket killifish, clown killifish, its price has come way down, and you know, the same story with the neon. They're just relatively easy to breed in captivity, and their popularity and the advent of online sellers, there's a great shot, right? Look at that. Look at that little plump belly with the stripes. Just unbelievable. But in any event, the price point has come down for these fish, even since I've been back serious into the hobby. I never even heard of these when I was a kid, and for all I know, they weren't even available to serious hobbyists when I was a kid. But when I first laid eyes on these fish, I had to have them. And when I was in California, I bought a group. The first group, most of them jumped, but a couple of them didn't. And that's another thing, like with all killifish, they're prone to jumping. Now, I haven't had an issue in about almost 2 months with the group that I have now. I did lose one when I initially put in about a half dozen, but since then, no losses. And the way I'm mitigating jumping is by having a really heavy cover of floating plants. I don't do lids on my aquarium. I just, for one thing, you can't have all this stuff on the outside if you've got a lid. So your only other measures are to lower the tank water, and as you can see, I'm not really doing that. I want to maximize all the real estate in this 12-gallon aquarium, and most, 3/4 of it is plant and hardscape and substrate. So, what little remains of the water I want to maximize so that I can keep as many fish as possible. I don't know if that's legit logic, but it's kind of my barroom logic, and that's what I'm going with. I've got about 5 clowns in here, a bunch of neon green rasboras and chili rasboras, all very diminutive and lovely fish. You see them both cavorting in there, and I've got those pencil fish I mentioned. So with the rocket or clown killifish, once the group is established and you don't have, skittish fish, jumping fish, problems keeping them alive and happy, they will reproduce for you. It's one of the few egg scatterers that I had success with spawning, and I wasn't even trying. It wasn't in this tank, but in the tank I did keep them in was half this size, like a 4-gallon cube. And one day I noticed little teeny mini versions of clown killifish right up at the surface. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't know what to do. And my first reaction was to take them out. I went to YouTube and like, what do I do? What do I do? And they were like, use an eyedropper. And well, I effed that up, and I lost 2 by trying to remove them and put them somewhere else. And then I realized, the fish don't really predate on their young. I've heard that the first generation, the F1, will predate on the F2, but I was lucky and happy to have the first generation, and sure enough, if I just left them alone, they grew, relative to their size, they grew pretty quickly on live brine shrimp and whatever else they could, baby brine shrimp of course, but whatever else they could pick from the abundant life that will inhabit a heavily planted tank. And I was just stoked. I got about 6 or 7 of my own fry, and I'm hoping that happens in here. Now obviously there's a lot of other creatures in here. They're small, but that won't stop them from picking off one of these bright little clown balloon babies should that happen. But I'm not doing anything to try and breed them. I just want a nice group of them to look at, honestly. We forget sometimes the primary reason for keeping fish is to look at them. And man, if these are lookers, these are crazy beautiful fish. And I highly recommend them. I don't think they're that difficult to keep. They have small mouths, but if you can raise baby brine shrimp and maybe get yourself some fry food from Hikari or Aquarium Co-op, they'll readily take that off of the top, readily. I like to give baby brine shrimp to all my fish because it makes me happy to do that, and I know it makes them happy, but it's not critical to keeping the rocket killifish in your aquarium. Obviously, you don't want big aggressive fish. All the obvious things hold true. It's a nano fish, so you want it in a nano aquarium. Now, if you have a big aquarium, great. You can get a crap ton of clown killifish. A whole big group would be awesome, but you just can't put in angelfish or barbs or anything like that. And most of us absolutely know that. I've got a ton of shrimp in here, and I don't find them to be problematic with shrimp any more than a chili rasbora or some of these other small tetras, which is slim to none that they're picking off shrimp. I'm sure they do, and let them. I mean, the food web, it's a great food source. Baby fish are a great food source. So if they're getting picked off, it's not the end of the world. It means Mother Nature is doing what Mother Nature does. So I can't recommend the rocket or clown killifish enough if you've got a heavily planted small aquarium. They're just stunning, crazy, obscene, and beautiful. And I hope you agree. All right, everybody. As usual, keep your hands in the tank, and ciao for now.